Here, so what's the one?
Good afternoon. The August 15th, just meeting in the Beavercreek Rotary. Welcome y'all. That's the flying church out there. I appreciate it. And I'd like to thank our greeter, Greta. Nobody jumped in to help us safe. That's fine. Eric Marcus, our ticket master. Beth Handworker for program assistants. Pete Bales, Mark Weinstein, and Mike Zwick for their programs lining up, and for Jim Gundle for the website. Thank you for that. And there's 77 days to Halloween. I know you're waiting here. And Denny, would you like to give the information? I'm ready for Halloween. Always ready.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon. Would you join me in prayer? Oh, Holy Creator, let me awake and see the beauty that surrounds me all around. Let me hear the singing birds make their wonderful song. Let me thank God for my health and has been good for me so far. That all my dreams come true and wishing you upon a star. Let me be thankful for friendships that were lovingly given to me. Thank me to never forget the caring that was made for me to see. Amen.
Thank you, David. Appreciate it. Secretary report, Josh, you ready?
We have two guests today. I got the Joe, but you make balloons, and then Nancy, what are your list?
Yes, I have Jonas again. I don't know, the third one, fourth one.
Okay.
I get them track, but anyway, he's excited to be here. See, right? I guess.
All right, Sergeant Arms report will not happen today because Chris emailed me this morning about 6 a.m. saying that his back went out. So I guess he's roughing it up with the kids. They won.
Yes,
He's on the virtual feed.
Oh yeah,
You can hear that.
I didn't see him up there. Well, all right, Chris, you want to do this remote? We'll do the ticket drawing.
Okay, that's on my own.
Yeah. That's supposed to. All right, so number one.
826-075.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, right. Anybody? 075?
Jerry. It's gonna be Jerry. Jerry is.
Oh, here it is. It'll bring the cards over.
All right.
075, check that. We're looking for 10 clubs. There you got it. 6 clubs. Yeah.
That's like a bright. Sorry, Sue's right.
We have any happy bucks today?
Oh, come on. Anybody else think of and some feet?
Okay.
And good. I have two happy bucks now. Oh, and I let Mackenzie go first since she's a blue belt. And the second is that we have someone here that's smarter than the computer. Oh, shot. Shut it off. And you trial and error.
Happy work.
Hey, I got a fit having hot friend, I just got back from a trip to Alaska. Oh, I've seen glaciers and all kinds of wonderful terrain. There's gotta be some beautiful views out there. Oh, it's really gorgeous. Never been there. All right,
I'll be happy.
no, I'm sorry.
You have thought of something to be happy about. Okay, this is silly, it blew my mind, but my sister had a baby. Last week, so I got to meet him for the first time yesterday, and he's adorable and healthy and happy. Mom was doing well. So anyway, really excited.
Reader, very good. Any more happy?
Yeah, 2 happy bucks, tonight, Beavercreek, scrimmage is Fairborn. So it's the unofficial start to football. And next Friday, Beavercreek's opening game will be in Xenia. So let's, get a crowd there and cheer them on.
Yeah. Where's your love?
Well, can't believe it's here.
Our speaker is not here yet. Colonel Matthew Luan. He is on his way.
He is, I can start.
Okay, I think you all know Brian Jarvis. He's gonna be our speaker. So speaker.
Yeah. So,
He got some things for you.
thank you.
Thank you.
One thing I learned working the base for many years now, they use the phrase flexibility is the key to air power. And this morning I got a call from this Colonel Lujan. I called into 11 o'clock meeting. And he'll get here as soon as he can. So we will work through a few things. Let me start off, since we can't do video or audio from there very well. I can where's this thing here? Okay. Last week or a few days ago, Colonel Lujan recorded a radio spot on iHeartRadio. Sorry, here, to get this going. The volume turned up. There you go. Okay, let's see if this works here.
This is Colonel Matt Muha inviting you out to Operation Honor at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base starting at 4 p.m. September the 21st. In partnership with Honor Flight Dayton, join us for a free concert featuring Last Call, Stranger, Ricky Lee, and Lee Greenwood. There'll be food trucks, music, camaraderie, and the opportunity to give 150 veterans welcome home they never received. For tickets, head to eventsprout.com, keyword Operation Honor, or check out Honor Flight Dayton's Facebook page.
Right. So about 5 months ago, Colonel Lujan contacted me. I worked with him quite a bit, the president of the NVMA, with the base leadership regularly, and he told me about this Operation Honor. It's called. Let me talk about Colonel Lujan first. He is the deputy commander of the 445th Airlift Wing, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. He leads the training. He leads the training, readiness, and equipment of more than 1,700 airmen in 16 units, inventory of 9 C-17 Globemaster III aircraft. He enlisted in the Air Force as a chaplain's assistant. And there completed ROTC, earned his Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering from UT. Later, his Bachelor of Science from the Air Force Institute of Technology at Wright-Pat. He's commanded at squadron level, served as acting deputy PEO, wing commander. He's a master navigator, 1,300 flight hours, including 70 combat sorties and 7 hurricane penetrations. He worked in the hurricane hunters. This is a pretty cool story. He's deployed many times: Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm, Northern Watch, Enduring Freedom, Iraqi Freedom, humanitarian missions in support of Operation Joint Task Force Katrina, and unified response. In his civilian job, he is the, here goes, director of the Air Force Research Laboratory's Artificial Intelligence Autonomy Capability Team. He's Act 3, they call it.
Whoops. That his civilian job?
Being a reservist. Oh, he's got so, and again, he has done so many awards and decorations. It's been great. But if you know about our flight, in 2005, 20 years ago, a local VA physician realized that none of his veteran
patients had ever been to DC to see the memorial. So he worked with the Wright Pat Aero Club, which is now at the Greene County Airport. He worked with the Wright Pat Aero Club to have them flown to DC and back to see all the monuments out there and come back. And it was an incredible experience for them. So next year they did it again and it grew larger, had more people. And so 2 years later, 2007, 2008 timeframe, it became so large that they chartered aircraft out of Dayton Airport, flew to Reagan National, did their tours out there, all the monuments, and came back to a huge celebration at the airport. Has anybody been at the airport when the veterans came back from their trips? Anybody been on honors flight before yourselves? Jerry, you were there? Great. I went on one about 10 years ago, not as a veteran, but as a guardian. And it's just a fantastic experience. But what's happened is that in recent years, when they were first doing this, there were a lot of World War II veterans that went, and now those have dwindled. I think there's going to be one on this upcoming flight, one World War II veteran, very few Korean War veterans, a number, mostly Vietnam veterans. But what's happened is that over these recent years, the number of Vietnam veterans signing up for this trip has dwindled. Wow. And it got so few that this upcoming flight was going to possibly be the last flight out of Dayton. Now, there are 130 some odd chapters of Honor Flight throughout the country. But as for Honor Flight Dayton, this coming one might be the last one. And when the Air Force heard about this, they had an idea. Which button is that?
Down,
Okay. The one on the side?
no,
Might not be on.
it is. Exactly.
Got 3 buttons there. And my glasses aren't on, so I can't read which one is the right. Yeah. Right there. Right there. Yeah, got it.
Get them handy.
You know, I'll do what I can. No problem.
Yeah, and so people have gone on this flight talking about how incredible it is. Again, it's they've got down to an art now. They know exactly what they're doing. I mean, they used to have police escorts through DC to make sure stoplights and traffic. I'm not sure they still do that. I've heard that it's not anymore, but again, over decades, it has been very good. And it can, especially these trips for the Vietnam veterans that, as you know, didn't quite get the same welcome back of World War II, and that was got times were different back then. But it does lead to a very good. Yeah, right. Okay, but okay. We had plans to control all the media reporting on this. But there was a meeting a few months ago where the Fairborn city manager spoke about it at their mayors and managers event, and Dayton News was there, unfortunately. And so the next thing we know is they're reporting on this thing. There was a slight delay here, so I got to be careful. Yeah, and back I think that was in June. This was Dayton News did a article on this. Again, this was just a few of the paragraphs on there. But that picture was taken at the previous honor flight in April, and this talks about the upcoming one. Again, it's a little bit different. Instead of flying out of Dayton Airport on chartered commercial aircraft, the Air Force's ideal was to fly them on C-17 Globemaster III aircraft, the ones you see flying around here to do when they're practicing all the time. There should be 150 veterans with 150 guardians. There will be medical teams on each of the aircraft, as well as the media and flight crew. Let's see. There you go. And instead of a chartered commercial airline, they're going to be flying one of these big things. This is huge. I flew on one of those June of last year, and it's just incredible. You wouldn't imagine how something that big, how smooth the ride is. You're at Dayton Airport, you're on an aircraft, and as you speed up, as you taxi to speed up, you can hear this thing here when it goes, you don't even know it's rolling, except you've seen the landscape going past that, that is it. But this will be an exciting trip for them. Colonel Muha has taken care of all logistics. It's incredible how many things are involved on an installation in putting these activities forward. On his team are myself, Dan Kirkpatrick, Mayor of Fairborn, and Dave Babcock, the former president of the Air Force Association. So we each have different capacities, use different roles, and we have a team of people supporting us. So we're just out there doing things. The team is actually doing the work. And the priorities for this too. The purpose is to honor the veterans. I mean, that's key. And as well as honoring for military, we kind of show that in this pictorial we have here of the past, the older veterans and the current Air Force. There's just multiple generations there, and also as most things the base does these days, and our communities, that this helps strengthen it fosters the base community interaction, because there is a lot of involvement here for the community, increase the morale, esprit de corps of the airmen, and everything, support recruitment, retention, and promote our communities. And so this really has gotten so much publicity that the public affairs officer, by Pat, was the one controlling things initially when the I think it was headquarters Air Force found out about this. They said, let us take on the public affairs portion of it. And so that's how big this has gotten. Colonel Muha had to get approval all the way up from headquarters Air Force, the numbered Air Force, the MAGCOM, the 80th Air Guns Wing Air Base. So it's incredible how much you have to do to get something, but there was a lot involved in doing this. And why that weekend? Okay, so this is marathon weekend, which was an issue. And the people coordinating the marathon didn't quite appreciate our effort being done over their weekend, because they have security concerns and so much going through the base in Fairborn and all around. I just didn't realize how much they did. But Friday, September 19th, is National POW MIA Recognition Day. And every year on that day, the base holds a POW recognition ceremony. The MVMAA that I'm president of, along with the Air Force Sergeants Association and the 80th Air Base, will hold that week-length ceremony, and we'll have that still. And the marathon too. So many people come here. Some DVs, distinguished visitors, run in that race, and this is a chance we thought to help to get more people in than normally come in. But it has caused logistical challenges, and we've had to work with so many people that just it has been very interesting. Friday the 19th, the recognition day. Once that is over, which will be held at the Arnold House, Area A, the 445th will hold its ceremony to unveil the Spirit of Midnight Taxi. Now, do you remember when the POWs were brought out of Vietnam, they came back on C-141 aircraft, and that was the Midnight Taxi, they called that. It turns out that Midnight Taxi later got assigned to the 445th Air Right Path, and then came to the Air Force Museum, so it's on display at the museum. The 445th Airlift Wing here is going to designate one of the C-17s as the spirit of the Midnight Taxi in memory of that original aircraft. And on the 20th of September, when the marathon is held, typically the marathon had a featured aircraft that flies over at the opening ceremonies. And this year was the KC-135 out of Beavercreek Air Base. As part of this activity, though, the plan is to fly that KC-135 along with the C-17 in a simulated refueling pattern, and right at the start of the race. And so people will get a chance to see that. Now, it won't be actual refueling, but it'll look like it. There's also planned to have some of the former POWs. I know that General McIntyre will be there. Some of them will be there to hand out medals at the finish of the marathon. And later on that evening, there will be a dinner hosted by the Data Coalition and Jobs Ohio. They'll host a dinner at the Air Force Museum. The Hanoi taxi that's on display there will be opened up for people to walk through, and there'll be a presentation by the general himself. Sunday is the big event. There's been a lot of effort put into making sure that everyone who's on the flight, their guardians, their family members, distinguished visitors, VIPs, all have a chance to be part of this somehow. So the gates are gonna open at 2 in the morning. It's gonna be, the veterans are gonna be up anyway. And every honor flight, they get up like 3 o'clock to the airport, fly out there, come back 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. It's a long day, I'll tell you. But this one's different because since it's flying out of the base, we had to coordinate that part of the base being opened up. This will be the first time in 50+ years that the base has been open to civilians. And so we try to make sure we're having the security in place, roads blocked off where nobody should be. And so everyone who's going to come at the Sunday morning event will need to come in through the old gate 26A. That's the one that runs in the back of the base. There's state routes 235, where the Skyboard State Land, and if you're close I am, you know the Skyboard State Land, and try there, things like this, and all those. You got to come in that gate. They are issuing free tickets to attend some of these events. And if you're not one of the veterans, guardian, people who are on the flight, you have to get your tickets online. There's a website called Event Sprout. You type in Event Sprout Operation Honor, it'll take you to the page. Tickets are free. The tickets went online August the 1st. So that's been, what, 2 weeks now? 2,000 tickets were put out there. In a week, 1,800 were gone. It was that quick. And so a couple of days ago, the colonel asked to have more put out there. So there was 1,000 more tickets put out there, and we'll see what that does. But the gate's open. That back gate is open. The security forces will be out there guarding the gate. They'll scan the pass that you get from that Eventbrite website. And it's only good for one scan, so you can't use it again. And it'll get you in. The veterans arrive for processing. They've already been vetted. They're on the list already. They've already been vetted, as is their guardian. If they want to bring in cousin so-and-so with them, they have to get one of those free passes from online. And we have warned all of them that if you invite cousin so-and-so with you, and he happens to have a warrant or sexual that he's not getting on base. So I don't think I'll arrest him, but just be warned. If he's got a record, if he's got a felony or something, that might be an issue. But they're going to be doing the processing. The people that come on base as just guests, they won't be able to drive on base. They'll have to park in Fairborn at the court building on Coughlin and Garland. And Dan Kirkpatrick, the mayor of Fairborn, has worked with their school so that we can use their school buses. They'll provide the drivers. We pay the field trip, pay for that, so they're getting something for that. It's not free. And they'll transport people who have pre-registered with one of those Event Sprout tickets to shuttle them back to the base. And when it's all done, back to the parking area. Again, you're talking about more than 2,000 people there, and that's a lot of buses. And so hopefully that'll be enough to get them there on time. But C-17s are planned to leave for Andrews Air Force Base at 6 o'clock in the morning. Again, it'll be an interesting time seeing the families open. I'm told it'll be a lot quicker than normal honor flights. With a regular aircraft, you can take wheelchairs just one down the aisle at a time, and it's slow. With the C-17s, you can down that ramp and just load them on the aircraft much quicker. It'll be, we'll probably hit that 6 o'clock right on the dot. They will. The big thing is in the evening. 3 o'clock buses start from the Fairborn Plaza. The big this big for the veterans is to welcome them home. Now, if you go to the airport to see the Dayton airport to see that, sometimes there is a huge crowd, like 1,000 people there waiting to be there. This here, there's going to be 3,000 people seeing them come back. And the logistics of that, the hangar itself, the one we're going to be using at the 445th, can hold over 5,000 people, and so that is not a problem. So many little things come up. You gotta have porta johns in these places. Go with a book, you know. To just coordinate. We're going to have 13 food trucks who will be out there. the place where I had designated for the food trucks to be, we couldn't do that. Because if you have food trucks, you've got plates and utensils and napkins and stuff that might be subject to the intake of the aircraft. You can't have that. And so food trucks had to go behind the hangar on the backside. And as we coordinated each thing, the porta johns, you can't put them near the food trucks. Not a good idea. You can't have them in front of the building because that'll be a bad Photoshop. Every photo show, but you got the sides of the building, but then you got to have control of who's going out, who's coming in. It was just a lot of things happening. I'm glad the colonel showed us having those things and not us. And so starting at 3 o'clock, the buses will start from that Fairborn Plaza on Hoffman. Everyone's got to go through a scanner. We've had, by then, the Marathon will be through with their scanners that they use for people to go through. So we'll have those for like just as one event. Plus, we've gotten, I believe, one of the Air Force Museum let us use one of theirs. There was one other organization, one other airport around here that gave us theirs. Plus, there's the wands too. They had wands that they can wand you down with. But yeah, the bus is coming in from Fairborn Plaza, and there'll be multiple buses, many 20 some odd buses that'll be going back and forth. That evening, a few hours before the buses, before the flight comes back, we'll start a concert. There are a few local bands that we contracted with. The most recent one, he mentioned in his audio, and I don't recall their name, but there's a local band called Stranger. Jeff Stevens, one of the local DJs, is in that band. We have the Air Force Band Flight that'll be there. We have a singer out of Nashville, Ricky Lee, who will be singing there, as well as Lee Greenwood. That'll be there. Now, our plans with him got changed. They were wanting somebody to chauffeur him around, fly from Atlanta to Dayton, chauffeur around. And I said, I'll do it. I'm cool about that. But then yesterday, 2 days ago, we were told that he's going to drive up from Atlanta on their bus. So I'm off the hook now. They can take care of that. And so just as the C-17s return, that Welcome Home celebration, that will be his cues, as in his very popular patriotic song. I think in his contract, he'll be singing 5 songs. And we just want him to sing this one at the time that the event was coming down. And so the C-17s, when they do return, they will take a couple of passes over the crowd right there. They'll come in landing probably from that state about 235 side, where they usually land in that direction if the wind is right. And they will both taxi to in front of the hangar. They will angle themselves so that the ramp is sort of facing the hangars, and as they let that down, and then the veterans will come down from that. There'll be a gauntlet of all these thousands of people that are on this perimeter line to welcome them back in again. The Air Force flight will be playing this hangar. It just is supposed to be, again, very patriotic, just bring a great end to a fantastic trip for them. And that'll be a very long weekend. Last night, my wife asked me, because I hadn't invited her to any of this. And she knew, she told me, you're going to be busy all weekend long. You don't need to babysit me. And so I appreciated her understanding that I was going to be good. This is what it looks like inside. This was from the trip that we took June of last year. Mayor Kirkpatrick and Fairborn. We used to be president of the Beavercreek Chamber years ago. Katie Llewellyn works for the Riverside Chamber of Commerce. Jim McCann's here, and John Larrabee there. We each got, and again, it's very deceiving here. This aircraft is actually a lot longer than this picture looks. It is a long aircraft. You can put a lot of stuff in there, a lot of people. And again, there's going to be 150 veterans, 75 veterans on each aircraft with their Guardian medical team, media, flight crew. It's just going to be loaded. It's going to be exciting. And this picture here also was from the trip that we took back in June of last year. It's all right. Good.
Sneaking in the back, and now you do that side bench.
As we walk up to, yeah, see her. So,
Colonel,
hi, how are you today?
great to see you, sir.
sir. How are you?
Just a preliminary session here on what's going on and how things got started, and I'll leave this.
Okay, thank you. How's everybody doing today?
Good.
Good. Hey, sorry about that. I had something else that I had to take care of, so what do we got up on the screen here? Okay, all the, that's the sponsorship sheet, some of the donations, that needs to be updated. We probably have about half a dozen more that have given since that was updated last week, so. Again, I'm Matt Muham, my reserve job. I'm the deputy wing commander of the 445th. That's the C-17 you see flying overhead all the time. So my civilian job, I run an autonomy AI team over at AFRL. So as you can tell today, that's the role I'm in today. So, but it started off. I don't know how much background you gave about 2 years. If you're familiar with honor, is everybody here familiar with honor flight? If you fly the Veterans DC, been doing it for 20 years. A captain that was a physician sit over at Springfield Hospital, the VA hospital. They had he had a bunch of patients that he asked if they had gone out to the World War II Memorial back in 2005. I think it was the year after it opened, and he found none of them had. So he talked some of his friends into renting some planes from the Wright Pat Aero Club. Sad to say it's not there anymore. Also, I think set out the Green County. But talked them into it. I think they had 12 pilots and they flew 12 veterans out to DC on some Cessna. So and I think they had 7 planes, that one backup one. They did that a few times that summer. The next summer they did it a few times more. It ended up during what's now Honor Flight, so which is a 138th hub. Each office or chapter is a hub, they call that, throughout the whole nation. Mr. Al Bailey is the president of the Dayton Honor Flight Dayton. All the different chapters are kind of run independently, and they so the Dayton one is obviously considered the very first one, right? You know, the birthplace of aviation, the birthplace of honor flight, actually. So, so that happened, and then I'd say the last 15 or 16 years they've been doing commercial flights, and they do about 3 to 4 flights a year. You've probably seen the ad and on the news. They'll say, "Hey, we have an honor flight coming back," and it's always at the Dayton. Here in Dayton, it's always at the Dayton airport. They had one in April. I think there was about 1,100 people out there. So. Probably about 300 or 400 military in uniform. So really great event. If you can't go out to it. So they've been doing that. Well, about September of 23, I was supposed to go on that because my father-in-law is a 2-tour Vietnam vet, Marine Corps. I had signed him up a couple years prior because they just go by applications that get in, and they just kind of whittle through the applications based on how they come in. They also always consider like the age and the health of the different veterans. Because they tend to, move other veterans that are older. Like we last minute added a 104-year-old World War II vet to this mission. So we're like, well, we better get him on there. I don't know if he's going to be around next summer. Let's make sure we put him up there. So, so I got a call in the fall of 23. You're on the list. So we go, and it was all lined up. The night before that mission, it got canceled. They had really bad weather that was expected to come in. The airlines told Honor Flight Dayton that they didn't. They said they knew they could get them in. They didn't know if they could get them out. So they canceled it. And I've been told that was the first time it was ever canceled. So fast forward a couple months, my reserve job, I was in the Pentagon at the time, but I got selected for and I became the deputy wing commander of 445th. The outgoing wing commander left. The inbound one got canceled. They asked me to be the acting wing commander for about 6 months. So I did pretty much all through spring through June of that year. That spring of 24, I'm talking to Kelly Cox and Al Bailey, and they said, "Hey, Matt, when do you want to get back on with your father-in-law?" And I told her, "Well, it's no hurry. He's in great health. I know you try to get the older guys up fast." And she made the comment, "Well, next summer might be our last flight." They have gone through their list because they only go through Vietnam vets, which means you have to serve before 15 April of 1975. She said some of the chapters have considered and some have extended that into like your Desert Storm, actually guys like me. So since 1988, Desert Storm vets and stuff, but they wanted to kind of keep it right at the Vietnam one. So they're like, yeah, it might be our last flight. At the time it was planned to be. So I said, "Hey, Kelly, I'm at the 445th. Has anybody ever done this on a military airplane?" She said, "No, it's never been done." She had heard some people had tried doing it and never worked out. So I said, "Okay, well, I'm going to see what we can do, see if I can get this work." It took about a year to get off road. We tried a couple different routes because it's very limited on what kind of straight up civilians can fly in a military aircraft. There's some categories in there like civic leaders, like Brian's gone up on a flight, some mayor's gone up on the flight. There is a, defined carry list for that. Bosses, the reserves have a boss. The instructions written where a lot of the reserve units do boss lifts, where people can ask the boss, and you're kind of paying back for those organizations that allow the reserves to go off and do those things, because we do understand that it is a load on this organization. So even in my job as civil servant, my boss is very understanding that I have to come over here for an hour to talk about this, kind of sort of. So took a while. We first started trying going through headquarters Air Force and just authorizing and giving them flight. But then Honor Flight said, hey, we have no problem paying for it. They have more than enough budget. They paid for it on the commercial side. We took months talking through AMC and Transcom, and we figured out, yes, here's instruction on how you do that. The last time it had been done, everybody knows movie Free Willy. The killer whale from Free Willy is called Kiki. There was an Operation Kiki back in 1989. The Air Force actually flew on a C-17 Kiki from Iceland to Oregon. I don't know if it was before or after the movie, but it's called Operation Kiki. And that was the only thing people can remember to this, that we were flying something and being here first. So we did that. Finally, in January of this year, it was the end of January, we finally got it fully approved. So Africa sponsored it. AMC was going to put funds through them, through Africa, to pay for that. So then we were frantically, and in 5 to 6 months, tried to pull together this whole event. So as you can imagine, most entertainers have all their I don't know how many agents I call them. They're like, oh gosh, you should have called a year ago. Well, we didn't know if we could do it a year ago. So after we got authorized, we had to pick a date. I picked to the 88th, the Air Base Wing was like, oh, are you sure you want to do that weekend? And I was like, no, I want to do it on the marathon weekend. So I wanted to be at Wright Pat is the place to be for that weekend. So to much chagrin of the marathon, they're like, that's kind of our weekend. I'm like, no, it's going to make your weekend even better. So we picked the weekend of the 19th, 20th, 21st of September. And also the other reason I picked this was the 19th of September is National POW and MI Recognition Day. So I thought that's very appropriate. So we were kind of looking at everything, and then I thought, anybody heard of the Hanoi taxi in here? It's a C-141, sits over the museum right now. It's the only 141 over there. It was the last 141 to fly. It retired out of the 445 airport. It was the first aircraft that liberated the POWs out of Hanoi, and specifically the Hanoi Hilton. That's why it's called the Hanoi taxi. So if you go over there, it has a big emblem on the side of it. It actually has signatures on the inside of it. You can't walk through. They're actually going to open it up for us on the 9th, 20th for us. But you go in and all the POWs that sign the inside of this plane. So very monumental. So what we're doing on the 19th, we're going to be unveiling one of the C-17s as Spirit of Hanoi Taxi. So it'll say that above the door. For temporarily, we'll have the emblem on the side of it for that week of the mission. General Ed Meckenbauer lives in Columbus now. He spent 6 years in the Hanoi Hilton. He's going to come speak. He is flying on the Honor Flight mission. So it's kind of tying that all together. The next morning, that plane and a 135 out of Rickenbacker, which is the featured aircraft in the marathon, it's going to do a low-level flyover of the opening ceremony of the marathon. If you've ever been out there, they always do that. They always have the featured aircraft that's on the shirts. Well, it's going to be that and the Spirit of Hanoi taxi doing the flyover. That afternoon, some of the veterans and General Meckenbauer are going to help hand out medals to the marathon. So again, kind of tying it into that. That night, there's a VIP and veterans dinner at the museum. So that's going to be any kind of leadership that have come in for it, and all the veterans plus one and the guardian. So most of the veterans have what's called a guardian or an escort that goes with them. Not all, it's not a 1-to-1 ratio. Some of the people that are more able-bodied, will split up between a couple of them. So the next morning at 6 a.m., 2 C-17s, Spirit of Hanoi taxi, and what it's looking like now. One of Pittsburgh units, they're going to help us out. They want to be a part of it, so we're allowing them to use one of their planes and crews. They're going to fly out of Wright Pat with 297 people on board, about 165 veterans. They'll go to DC and they'll do the usual honor flight. So what's going to be done over the DC is what they always do. Though we have had, they are going to be met by the deputy of Africa. Air Force Reserve Command is going to be there to meet the planes at Andrews Air Force Base. And also OSD said that a senior leader is probably going to come out to us at the Vietnam Wall. So they'll be doing that in DC. While that's happening back here, there's going to be a concert. So starting at 3 o'clock, we're going to start busing people, about 3,000 people. If you're familiar with the Skyway Plaza, it's over where the Fairborn Courthouse is. Fairborn's been fantastic. They've been helping us out. We're going to be using their parking lot. We'll have screening all set up there, so everybody will be screened. Metal detectors, Wright State's been awesome. They're giving me metal detectors. They're gonna be going through and being screened. You need a ticket to go. That's one thing we've been foot stomping to everybody. Even if you have base access, you must have a ticket to attend this event. So the general public will start being busing at 3 o'clock. At 4 o'clock, the concert starts. We have a closing act, Stranger, that's Jeff Stevens' band, local band here. Ricky Lee from Nashville, he's a country singer, and Lee Greenwood. So because Al always tells me about, the last song, and I've been out there, the last thing they do on the end of these is always they sing Lee Greenwood songs, Proud to be an American song. We're gonna have Lee Greenwood next. So he actually has a concert on Friday and Saturday night in Atlanta, but he's gonna have jump in his bus Saturday night and drive here in his bus overnight, so he'll actually be out here. And we're trying to get him to see if he'll actually send off the plane Sunday morning, because he should arrive here about 4 or 5 in the morning. So we're gonna park him right by the hangar. So that after concert, we have 13 food trucks. We have the Right Flyer. I was just talking to the gentleman about that on the drive over here, pinning down the last logistics for that. We're gonna have some military vehicles for this military vehicle club. Local clubs kind of be parked around the concert area. It's all in our hangar. So we'll have about 4,000 people total. So, and we're out here to tell anybody who wants to be a part of it. So, but that's the whole thing. We kind of dumped it on yet. Anybody have any questions at all? Go ahead, sir.
I signed up for an honor flight about a month and a half ago. And the response I got back was I was on a waiting list. Will that be this year, next year? Is there gonna be a next year?
Yeah, there will be a next year. There will be a next year. So as you can imagine, like what I pointed out, when this started a year and a half ago, they were at a list where they had about enough for one plane. But they constantly get applications. Last I heard, they had over 300 applications.
Wow.
So they're only using about 165 of those. So they do move people around a little bit on that list based on health and age and when you're service. Like the 104-year-old, we're gonna try to get him. We kind of bumped him to the front of the list because we don't know if he'll be around next summer. So yeah, they do have well over 100 people on the backup list. So they've already picked on which ones are going. They also have, I think, 30 backups, because we process and collect everything, because for this particular event, it's taking a lot of logistics, because every person that goes, we need to get them on base. I need their full name, driver's license, and state of issue. To get them on the plane, I need that, plus I need their age and sex, because they have to be cleared through TSA, because anybody that gets on our plane as passenger has a TSA background check. So that, and also if you have any guests, we need to collect all your names and ID numbers for all your guests, because we're allowing them to drive on base and park on base. So we're collecting that not only for the 165, but also the additional 30, because we want to be ready that day before, 2 days out, that morning. I mean, they actually have, sometimes they have some of the standbys actually come in the morning to go, well, if somebody doesn't show up, we might be able to push on. So they do really try to maximize seats. So when that plane leaves, every seat's going to be filled. So if you're on backup, you might get called. If you're not, then you'll probably be next spring, because they are going to, like I said, since this has happened, they have had a huge spike of applications. They said they're constantly getting phone calls every day. People are calling my public affairs. Hey, my uncle's a veteran. Can you get on it? Like, sorry. I mean, it's 6 months ago. It's hard. They had more than enough people to fill it up. So, but go ahead, sir.
Explain the food logistics here. I'm used to an Air Force box lunch. That's what they provided on the Civic tours, and
Yes, sir.
Same. How are you handling that? Are they eating on the plane?
There will be the chaplain's office. I kind of pulled in. One thing on setting this up is I've tried to pull where I could, pull every string I could on that. So the first plan was to get the box lunch, even if it's the breakfast. That is our backup. Right now, I think Honor Flight has something lined up that they have a company that's going to be donating the food for that. That morning, we're going to have coffee and donuts as everybody arrives, because it's a long day. They show up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Honor Flight shows up at 2 o'clock in the morning to start setting everything up. 4 o'clock in the morning, all the veterans and guardians show up. And as you can imagine, it takes a couple hours to process them. So we're setting up actually a PAX terminal in the hangar. We're getting another, the Dayton Air Show's hooking me up, because we did not have a mobile roll around walking metal detector. The Air Show's actually giving those to us for that place. So we have to screen those, then we have to kind of segregate them off like you would at an airport, right, after you go through security. So it takes a couple hours. So we're going to have the chaplain, the 445th chaplain office, will be there with coffee and donuts. And then I've given the food thing for the flight over to Honor Flight. They are taking care of that. So, but they know Worst case scenario, 48 hours out, I can call the chow hall and I can order box lunches and have those there. So they know that's a backup. I think they're trying to get somebody to donate that, so.
Okay, thank you.
But, and then, sir, I apologize if you don't come on this flight, but we try to get everybody we can. They've been shuffling around, okay, who do we put on there? So, but they've kind of always, the main part of their rubric of setting it up is first come, first serve. So unless an age comes into play that they pull somebody forward. Go ahead, sir.
I signed up as well, but I hadn't heard squat diddly. I was like, Randall's,
Yeah, when did you sign up?
right 26,
July, oh, of this year?
yes.
Yeah, if you haven't got a phone call by now, probably not. I know they're still putting phone calls out. I do know that they're still calling people, so I wouldn't say you're not on it. I would say if in the next 2 weeks you don't get one, that you'll be on the next flight. And it's not unusual you don't get a flight. When I signed my father-in-law, I've been like, I think it was something like 2022, I think I signed him up. It was like 2 years before I just got this call. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's right, I did sign up for that. You know, they don't call people to give updates. They take it, and then when it's time for them to start building it, they just go through their list, start calling everybody. So, but they are still calling people, so I wouldn't say you're 100% not on it. But I know the majorities have started going, because you can imagine it's a lot of work to call 165 people, especially when if you're like me, I don't always answer the phone numbers. I'm like, I don't know this. So it takes a lot of calling, because sometimes they don't answer, they have to leave a message, they wait a couple of days, they call back. I mean, it is a huge ordeal to call it down. And in this mission, especially, because not only is Honor Flight reaching out to these people, I have a couple lieutenant colonels that they know a few weeks into a few months before, starting probably, next week, that they're going to be on the phone constantly, because we also have to reach out and we go, okay, for the base, you in your welcome pack, because in the welcome packet, it says you can contact from the Air Base Wing for security information for anybody that you want to come on base. Because the general public is parking off base, they get their tickets through eventsprout.com. Families and friends and guests of the veterans on the flight are being able to come park on base, but we have to clear anybody over 18 ahead of time. So we are calling them, okay, who do you want? And as you can imagine, we're fully expecting that Aunt Joe, Aunt Mary, 3 days out is going to go, well, I think I do want to go. So we're calling them, we're letting them know, okay, if somebody gets added, please let us know. Because we are setting it up that we can handle somebody coming last minute. What we're going to do is we're going to pull them apart side and do extra security. We're hoping that would be very minute numbers. The vast majority of clubs that go in, they look at our list and every adult is on that list. So what are the questions you got? Oh, go ahead, man.
Do you think it'll be next year, the same kind of setup?
No, this is yeah, I mean, a year and a half ago, when I started feeling now, people, hey, what do you think about this? One foot stomp that General Durham, he was then the 4th Air Force commander, he just retired. He's like, okay, why should we do this? That's not going to have the other 137 hubs driving up to their nearest base going, hey, it's our turn. So it's in layman's terms, it had to be special. And so it's the first honor flight. The guy who created it's on that. General Ed Meckenbeyer's on there because we're using the Hanoi taxi. And it was the last flight when it was happening. So when it was first, when we first started putting this together, it was kind of the end of a chapter. Like, this is the end of thanking the Vietnam veterans. We don't have any more. Well, we kind of expected to be popular. As soon as the word got out, people have been signing up. So again, not the last one. So they want, but will they ever do another military aircraft? I doubt it. It has been so much work to put this together. So I don't know if any other bases would be willing to do this, or if they would even authorize it. But no, there's nothing planned for this. Is a once time. I think it's gonna be the one time only. What other questions you got? No. Well, again, if you want to attend, you go to eventsprout.com. I don't know if there we go, eventsprout.com. That's another thing I had to learn how to do. I had to learn how to make a website. Luckily, I found eventsprout.com. I found it, the Dayton Air Show uses it. I called them up and I explained what it was. And they said, yeah, that falls under our nonprofit. You can use it for free. So if you go there, it has all the information. It has all the security measures. Hey, this is what to bring, not to bring. Pretty obvious, no weapons, anything like that. And we are setting it up. That was one advantage of putting it out Fairborn, parking out there, that somebody walks up and they have a knife, they have a concealed carry or something. You go, hey, can't, simple, go take back your car. You can't come. So, but you go there and you grab tickets. I set it up that you can grab 4 tickets at a time and you have to put your name and email on there. Honestly, I put that in there to kind of defer people from going in there hoarding tickets, so. The guy who runs the Air Force Band of Flight in the museum both told me like, hey, you're gonna probably get 10 or 15% not show up, so anytime you're giving away free tickets, days it rolls up and it's like, I don't want to go. Because it was free. So I asked, don't try not to take tickets unless you really think you're gonna go. But if you do want to go, grab tickets. As of I checked last night, over 2,100 were taken out of 3,000. And we just upped it from 2 to 3. We sold out 3 days ago. We were initially gonna cap the thing at 3,000. I'm holding 1,000 back for the family and friends of the veterans and the VIPs. I released 2,000. Those were gone in about 10 days. So we went back. And we had already talked about it. I literally called the base commander. Were they happening what I told you? We've hit 2,000. Do you want it? We said, okay, let's have a conversation tomorrow. So they went through security and, yes, everything's set up because what drove that was security. How can we protect and make sure that we safely have that side of the concert? If you've ever been to the Phrase Pavilion, that's 4,200 max. So this is about the size of a Phrase concert. And we're not going to add any more. They're like, do you want to go more? No, let's keep it at that. That's a good number. Because remember, going back to the primary mission of why we're doing this is thanking the veterans. I think 4,000 people standing there when they get off the plane. I think that's more than enough. Thanks. 5,000 is not going to make many feel much more. Thanks. So yes, if you want one, please go on and grab tickets as soon as you can. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. man. Good seeing you.
Good to see you. How you been doing, Dave? Dave and I used to work out at the gym together out in Play Fitness, then not with him. Silly Fitness again.
You were doing the Cub Scouts.
Yeah, I was the Cub Master of his grandkids, so.
Yeah, so I got to take my grandkids up there, see? And I kind of liked it when he was gone, because then I could bring my grandson up there and spend some time with him. Well, could you sign this book for me?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We donate a book to the library for each one of our speakers.
Okay. Do you mind if I sit down and
Oh, no.
that way put my thoughts to it? See what I'm.
Sure. We'll get a picture with
You
you.
want to say something smart, right? Okay, thank you very much.
There's a couple of clipboards going around. One about the greeter for next week. We have no greeter next week, the 22nd or the 29th. We also have a clipboard going around for the Popcorn Fest. If anybody can work the Popcorn Festival, September 6th and 7th. We appreciate any help we can get. Is there anything else to be brought up for the club? Well, that's all. So you all right for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States to the republic, states, nation, under peaceful, liberty, justice for all. Have a good weekend. Anyhow, just got. Bring on light. Yeah, that sounds like we can do the break. Okay.
I couldn't see to the convert. I didn't. Other files, but it's down the ground. We want the.
Thank you for coming to the whole grounds. We all rest. Grateful. Yeah, I don't think it's down there. That's